It is 8:30 on your Thursday. Good morning to you. We have breaking news to top the bottom of the hour this morning. A Calgary-based Encana has announced it is moving its corporate structure to the United States, renaming the company from Encana to Ovintiv. The announcement out just this morning still needs shareholder, stock exchange, and court approval. That is expected to happen in early 2020. No indication just yet of them moving their head office from Calgary. Joining us now to help us put this into some perspective is Calgary's Tim Pickering, the president of Auspice Capital Partners. Thanks for taking the time to chat with us. I just want your initial reaction to the news this morning.
Well, it's obviously somewhat surprised and disappointed, but I think we're going to see more of this, and I think we have to get used to this type of decision being made by our energy companies.
Yeah, what does this signal then for the industry in Alberta and in Canada, really?
Well, I think it signals, especially for public energy companies, that the energy policies in Canada, the challenges we've had in Alberta, that companies are struggling to get foreign capital invested in the companies. This capital is extremely important from an investment perspective. This is U.S. mutual funds, ETFs, energy index funds that hold energy companies. And they've really abandoned Canada in the last, 3, 4, 5 years. And companies are looking for ways to, again, attract that type of capital from an investment perspective and overall. And so their hands have been forced. And what it tells you is that energy policy in Canada is, has really let us down.
Encana is a big one. It's been a mainstay with its head office here in Calgary for 2 decades. Are other energy companies looking at this going, oh, what now?
I guarantee you that other companies are looking at this and taking note. We've heard lots of rumblings about this, and I think now you're seeing a major, a real stalwart of the energy industry making this decision, and I'm confident you're going to see others follow. I mean, and it's as simple as we see different jurisdictions in the U.S. You get in your car and you hear about just different jurisdictions advertising, encouraging movement of not only people but companies to the U.S. And if the business is in the U.S., then the companies are going to really struggle to remain domiciled in Canada.
And just one more for you. What do you make of the name change?
I hope the company didn't pay much for that name change. I'm not a big fan.
Okay, fair enough. Do you think it's trying to break stride from the Canadian branding, or do you think this is just a business move?
Yeah. Joking aside, we've seen this time and time again. TransCanada did it, and they're getting rid of Canada from the name. It's heartbreaking in a way. I made a decision in my career to come back to Canada from Texas and start my company and raise my family. But you can see the challenges we all have by making those decisions.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Tim Pickering from Auspice Capital Advisors this morning. Thanks for taking the time.
You bet.
And this is where we're going to bring in Danielle Smith from Global News Radio 770 CHQR for her take on this story. Good morning, Danielle.
Good morning. Isn't it something what he just said there as well, how the Canadian brand in oil and gas is toxic? Ovintiv doesn't exactly roll off the tongue, so I kind of agree with him about the name change. But what a terrible blow for the energy sector. And
Encana too. This is a big blow, Danielle.
It's really a big blow. I'm going to talk with Dave Yeager today just to understand how big a blow it is. I mean, there is no more Canadian company than Encana. It derived originally from the Canadian Pacific Oil and Gas Company when Canadian Pacific was being built across the country to unite our country. One of the things they got was land grants and mineral grants. And they spun it off into an energy company, which later merged with the Alberta Energy Company after in the 90s, and it became one of the most important, principally gas producers, because then they spun off Cenovus as well. And so when you look at this company, you really can't find one with deeper Canadian roots. And now there is no margin in having Canada in your brand. There's no additional benefit that comes from being Canadian. It's actually seen as a disadvantage. If we can't attract capital, they're going to have to move to the place where the capital is to be able to invest. And I think this is important to remember. It's not like they're changing or moving or downsizing because there isn't a customer for their products is that they can't find capital here. And so they're going to a place where investors do want to invest, where there is a vibrant market, where there's support of governments to get the product to market. This is, I think, another indication. We had the 200 layoffs from Husky right after the election. We have this move right after the election. This is an indictment of Justin Trudeau's policies. You cannot have a federal government that passes legislation to prevent pipelines from being built, to prevent exports of products from tankers off the western coast, that is openly hostile and talks about phasing out the oil sands, and think that people are going to want to continue investing here. So this is completely laid at the feet of Justin Trudeau, and what I fear is that we will see more of it.
Certainly this story not going away anytime soon. Thanks for this, Danielle.
Yeah, my pleasure.
You can listen to more of this conversation on Danielle's show starting at 9:30 this morning.